Okay, so I'm going to discuss now how playing to the edge got the uh, false reputation of of being unbalanced, and it all happened from beginner play. People who got reinterested in the game, in a revival in the late '80s, early '90s. Um, if they there's a lot of beginners getting interested in that, and they don't know how to play the game, so of course they're not going to make the right conclusion. When you play to the edge, the king should either be weaponless and surrounded on four sides, or he should be armed and can take part in captures, but just surrounded on two sides, like the Robert Opifon rules, the actual uh, uh, 16th century documentation of the game. Historical documentation. So the first way that so people would play to the edge, because that was the only rule set at the time, up until that time, and what would happen is that black would just give discovered checks, because it was beginner players. So let's just say that he's just kind of blocked around, and discovered check, might be where black moves, and to us that's really obvious by now, but to a beginner it might not be so much. So the king would win that way. Another way to do a discovered check and lose the game is if black's really concerned with capturing pieces, and so he just comes up, captures the hat. Now that happens probably even more than the first, and what happens probably even more than those two is another one where black would capture a piece that opens up a file. So you, you know let's say I don't know, there's pieces all around here and stuff, and you know so he's going to go attack somebody, and he moves a piece off this. Well, now this file's open, and so what would happen? This happened a whole lot of times. See, because that's hard. That's even harder to see than those first two examples I showed you, because he's concerned about capturing somewhere. Maybe he's over here, and he's worried about capturing over here, so he runs over here and captures, and he doesn't even notice that. I mean, for a beginner to notice that would be really rare. I mean, you can't expect a beginner to know that. Well, now the game's lost if you're playing to the edge, and that would be sort of an obvious move for, you know, white would want to make that, and they're like, oh wait, okay, you can only defend one side. Oh, now I've won the game. So, um, so black either, and then there's another one. There's another one that you can't really expect a beginner to get, and that's if black just captures uh, a piece. So let's say this is going on, and all the files are closed. They don't realize that, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm gonna catch this piece over here. So he moves over here, catches this, and boom, look, now he's opened a file by capturing. Now the game's over. So it's really, you can't expect a beginner to, that was just four ways, and you can't really expect a beginner to think of all those things when they've just been introduced to the game. There's other things. They're not going to follow all the principles. They're going to have very poor pawn structure. They're going to have doubled pawns, tripled pawns. They're going to have isolated pawns. They're going to, on the edge of the board, they're going to have, they're not going to think about pawn chains. They don't know how powerful a pawn chain is in this game when they first start playing. They don't know about how to make the pieces as mobile as possible, and all those other things. I mean, that's a lot of things to play the game well. It's a lot of things you have to know, and so the game became got a reputation for being unbalanced. They make the false conclusion that the game, oh well, that was really easy for white. Why was it easy for white? Well, when black plays poorly like that, white doesn't have to work too hard. And another mistake that black would make would be getting into too many pieces captured in the bloody exchanges. He's like, well, I have twice the number of pieces, I have an advantage, so I'm just gonna, and it's more fun to capture pieces, and it's less to think about, and it's so when all those things happen, you combine all those things. Of course, the game's gonna appear to be unbalanced, but it's not. It's not an unbalanced game at all. Robert Opifon documented the proper rules to make a playable game. and that's the oldest documentation of how to play this game, and it's absolutely perfect rules. And it's playing to the edge. So that is about it. And I've enjoyed making this series for you, and if I make any more videos, this will probably be on a different game.